Afternoon, committee. We'll get started here. Sorry we're a little late, but had some other things going on, so I appreciate your patience. Call the meeting to order, and the intent, the first item of business would be taking a look at final action on Senate Bill 36. Revisor Wagner, would you brief us on that, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris Wagner from the Revisor's Office. Senate Bill 36 would provide for salvage vehicle pools to perform vehicle checks for vehicles on their premises, and also allow salvage vehicle pools and vehicle dealers, salvage vehicle dealers, to apply to the Division of Vehicles for ownership documents. Section 1 would allow those salvage vehicle employees to perform those vehicle checks, VIN checks, if certified by the KHP. They have to have a bond in an amount of $50,000, sell at least 2,000 vehicles per year. Then in Section 2, for applying for ownership documents, it would allow salvage vehicle pools and salvage vehicle dealers the ability to apply for a non-repairable vehicle certificate or a salvage title free and clear of all liens and encumbrances if they take certain steps, including if the vehicle is subject to an insurance claim and the vehicle's been left on their premises for more than 30 days, plus they have to provide notice a couple times as well, and provide that proof to the division. And I would be happy to answer any questions the committee has.
Are there any questions for the revisor? See none? Oh, Jim, no, there is. Okay, thank you. Representative Delperdang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move the committee recommend Senate Bill 36 favorable for passage, please.
Second by Representative Hoheisel. Is there discussion? Representative Francis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think everybody at their desks has a proposed amendment. Would you like the revisor to explain the amendment, Mr. Chair?
Yes, that would be fine. Representative Wagner, or Revisor Wagner, I demoted you. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to share the amendment real quick. Okay, so what the amendment would do is essentially strike the portions relevant to allowing employees of salvage vehicle pools to perform those vehicle identification checks. So anything related to that is stricken in Section 1, including the new language, the more substantive parts in subsection G. And instead, the bill would require the Kansas Highway Patrol to make multiple vehicle checks within a certain time period upon application by a salvage vehicle pool. And more specifically, the new language you can probably see is on page 3 of the bill on the amendment. And it would basically, if a salvage vehicle pool applied for a KHP vehicle check for 6 or more vehicles, the Kansas Highway Patrol would have to perform those checks within 5 business days of the date the application was submitted, unless they give a reason for a delay, and then that date should be no later than 10 business days from the date of application. A few more requirements. The salvage vehicle pool, again, would have to sell at least 2,000 vehicles combined per year from the pool's locations in Kansas, and that would be reported to the Department of Revenue. And they would also have to provide office space, and they have to give the approximate location and clearly mark the vehicles that they want to be checked by the Kansas Highway Patrol. And with that, I would answer any questions the committee has.
Does anyone have questions for Representative Neely?
Have they talked to the Highway Patrol about this? Are they able to turn around and efficiently be able to accomplish this in a matter of 5 days or the 10-day period?
Representative Francis.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Revisor Wagner.
Representative Francis would probably know that answer to that question.
Okay.
I think the other understanding was it was some sort of compromise, but
So Representative, if you remember from the testimony that we heard at that time, the Highway Patrol said, there's no problem whatsoever. We always show up when we're asked as soon as possible. The people wanting this bill said they never show up. So, I mean, we had a huge contradiction based upon what's reality on this deal. So I know that the interested parties in this bill reached out to the Highway Patrol. They would not take a position on this new language, but in my opinion, we all know what opinions are worth. This says, okay, if you guys are saying there's not a problem, we're giving you 5 days. If you can't make 5 days, there's another 5 days. And it seemed like a good way that the VINs are still inspected by the Highway Patrol, which was the major concern on both the parties, was relinquishing that state verification of those VINs. So they did not agree to this compromise, but I feel like it's a good middle ground.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It says 6 or more. What if it's between 1 and 5? Is there any difference there, or is that just the number that they put in there?
I think it was an overabundance of trying to work with the Highway Patrol. In other words, we're not going to make them drop everything and come by for one. We're going to wait until we've got 5 or 6. Again, trying to respect their time.
So we're looking at the fact that the salvage person or whatever it is, that entity, they have to accumulate up to 6, and then at that point they contact KHP and say, hey, we've got 6 or more here.
Right.
Send a trooper down to do the inspection.
That's when the 5 and 10 days will kick in, right?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we on discussion of this amendment yet? We haven't moved
Not
it.
really, we're just questions to the revisor on
Okay.
the amendment, but if you've got a question on the amendment, it will be fine.
Okay. Well, I really just have a comment on the amendment. I was prepared to vote for this thing without this amendment, and I think that the proponents for this bill have kind of gone above and beyond the call of duty here to try to meet a compromise, and so I would support this amendment.
Thank you. Representative Delberdang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question maybe originated at the revisor, but maybe the carrier of it can answer it. But looking at the big bubble on page 3 of it, where it talks about it applying to vehicle pools selling at least 2,000 vehicles combined per year from the salvage pool. So does that mean the entire amendment only applies to that substantial of a vehicle pool? Or if I'm a smaller one, does it not apply?
That might be best for the revisor.
Revisor Wagner, would you weigh in?
yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think your thinking is right, Representative. They would have to be sort of a larger salvage vehicle pool. So anyone under that sells less than 2,000 vehicles combined per year, this process would not be available to them.
So, Mr. Revisor, would it revert back to the original bill then, if I'm a unit that sells 1,000 vehicles per year?
Yes, correct. They would just request those checks as they normally would currently.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Ballard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reviewing, I think the only opposition, if I remember, was maybe Highway Patrol. And part of it is because they weren't included in what was going on. But I think this amendment makes it very clear that they're still part of what really happens. They still will be inspecting the cars. They will come when you call them. And it seems like it's been a nice compromise, but also they stay involved in the process. So for that reason, I'm in favor of this amendment.
Any further questions to the revisor or to the maker of the motion, Representative Francis, on the amendment? Representative Delperdang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe this is to you, but where it gets into the very end of the bubble there, where it's no later than 10 business days from the date of the application, what happens after that if the Highway Patrol does not show up? Does it go revert back to them doing it themselves, or what's in the game here to make that happen?
There's just no penalty.
Okay, thank you.
Are there further questions on the amendment? Hearing none, Representative Francis, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move my amendment.
You've heard the motion by Representative Francis to amend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We're back on the bill as amended. Is there further discussion? Representative Delperdang, would you renew your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move my motion.
You've heard the motion by Representative Delperdang to move Senate Bill 36 as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation by the Kansas Turnpike Authority and Mr. Steve Hewitt, CEO. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Chairman and committee members. It's always a good opportunity to get in front of you and talk about the Kansas Turnpike. I see I recognize some faces and we have some new faces, but it's always an opportunity and we appreciate that opportunity. Again, I am Steve Hewitt. I am the CEO of the Kansas Turnpike. I've been CEO since 2015. I've just passed my 6th year as CEO, and we are doing some really fun things, and we're excited to tell our story today, which we always enjoy. Next slide. Okay, back in 2019, we did a kind of revision of our mission and vision statements to look at our values and goals of the Kansas Turnpike. As you can see here, we clearly have those goals and values that the Turnpike has set from the very beginning to operate a safe, reliable system, being fiscally responsible, value the customer's input, right? That's important to us. And our vision obviously is to advance transportation and use transportation. And through our leadership and our innovation and our opportunities through partnerships, we want to make sure we're offering a very good system for the state. It's always fun to look at the history of the Kansas Turnpike, to look back a little bit. You know, opened our doors in 1956. There was a need to connect Kansas, our 3 largest cities, Wichita, Topeka, Kansas City, and even other states prior to the interstate system. And so also there was a need not to put this as a liability on the state. So creating a toll system to allow it to pay for itself. And obviously today we do the same thing today. Obviously we take no tax dollars, no burden to the state. We don't receive any state or federal tax dollars. We use this as an opportunity, use the revenue we bring in to maintain a very strong, and we call it a great system for the state of Kansas. Some basic facts, always fun facts to know about the Kansas Turnpike. Currently, we have 355 employees working for the Kansas Turnpike, 236 miles from the Oklahoma border to Kansas City. We're supported by 100% of our KTA revenues, which includes mostly tolls. We take no taxes. We have 350 bridges. We have 6 service areas along the Turnpike, 22 toll plazas, which is pretty unique that this facility was built in 22 months back in the 50s. And we obviously know we can't build the 236-mile interstate in 22 months. So that was a pretty unique history item. Last year, we had 35 million trips on our system. We also have a dedicated highway patrol troop, Troop G, that monitors the Turnpike, 51 contracted troopers that's dedicated to KTA, and we pay for those 100%. Their salaries, their benefits, their equipment, their cars. You know, we do it all. We pay for it all to make sure that we offer a good product and we're keeping our customers safe. We have oversight from a 5-member board. That includes the Transportation House Chairman, Transportation Senate Chairman, the Secretary of Transportation, and then 2 appointed at-large members by the governor. So obviously, we're going through something unique. COVID had a big impact for everybody in the state, and it had a big impact for the Kansas Turnpike. So we can, like to tell you today, obviously, travel has been changed and it slowed in Kansas. In 2020, we were down 23% in traffic on the Kansas Turnpike. Our lowest point was in April. We were down 65%, as you can see on the chart. Obviously, just things stopped. And people still are not back to normal, right? We're still not able to go to ball games yet and some of the things we like to do. We are slowly seeing a recovery, and we are better than we once were, obviously, but we are still not back to pre-COVID traffic numbers. But we're positive in the future happening, and we understand that. And one bright spot in this is that our commercial customers, our commercial partners, they've been very good. They've actually seen an uptick over the last few months in commercial. So goods and services are needing to get to places, and they are doing a great job of doing that. So that has been the one bright spot for us at KTA, is to see our commercial travel up over the last few months for sure. In revenue, obviously traffic affects our revenue, and that's what we live and die by. We saw that big drop off. Low traffic equals drop in revenue. We made some adjustments internally in our operations to try to manage this. We're very fiscally sound, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but that allowed us to use our reserves to cover us. But we made our commitments. We made our projects, our safety projects, our commitments to our customers. We did not stop any of those or delay any projects. We kept them going. We made some adjustments internally in our operations and used our reserves to get by, but we made sure that obviously this was going to be a big hit to us. And we've been down about $15 million in revenue. And that's a hit, but we had reserves. We have a good fiscal backbone to fill in that gap during this time. So as we just talked about, we are fiscally stable. We have the highest bond rating you can receive for a toll agency in the country through Moody's. In fiscal 2020, we found a way to reduce our operations, adjust our spending to get through this. Our revenues were $125 million, and our expenditures were $124.5 million. That breakdown for expenditures comes to operations. We spent $49.7 million. Our debt service was $16.4 million. Our preservation was $28.1 million we spent, and modernization was $30.1 million. Our current debt for the Kansas Turnpike sits at $112.5 million. And I'll just say, since I've taken over, we've dropped that debt nearly $100 million over the past 6 years. Just put us in a good fiscal position to manage potentially changes or projects, and this obviously was a change in our business. But again, we take no tax dollars, and we received no stimulus, so we had to figure out a way to do it, and we met the obligations for our customers, and we're very pleased with that. And I'd like to point out, we have some of the lowest tolls in the country, and we're determined to maintain those low tolls, and those are important to our customers, and we're going to continue that. Back in 2015, when I took over as CEO, we embarked in a long-term needs study, which is really a capital improvement plan. We identified projects and improvements along the turnpike we needed to attack and needed to improve on. It was a 10-year plan. Over that 10 years, we expect to spend over $700 million. Currently, we've spent $355 million on 40 projects over the first 6 years. We're very pleased with that. We've kept our commitment to improve our system. Even through COVID, we're still doing that, and we've identified those projects, and we're making sure we complete those projects. So some of those projects, a few highlights here: drainage improvements. And I think nobody's immune to the fact that drainage on the turnpike was an issue for many years. Well, we wanted to attack that. We wanted to get it head on. We wanted to fix it, make it better. So we've been spending over $5 million a year for the past 5 years, identifying drainage issues and improving those drainage issues. We've improved currently 16 locations on the Kansas Turnpike. And as you know, built in the 50s, a very aged, old system, and the standards were different back in the 50s. And so modern standards, we brought our drainage system up to modern standards to make sure we kept the water off the roadway to protect our customers. Because safety obviously is important for everybody. If you're traveling, your family's traveling, your friends are traveling, safety is important to us. So we embarked in a flood mitigation plan that prioritized what areas along the turnpike needed to be adjusted. And we've been tackling those ever since, and we're very pleased with that. And again, it's a critical area. We want to be safe, and that we're attacking those and we're funding them. Nice job. I'm very pleased with that. Other improvements, we've done a lot of freight improvements for our freight partners. We understand that's an important part of our revenue. 15% of our traffic is over 40% of our revenue at times. And right now, I would even say it's probably a little higher due to the fact that people aren't traveling as much, but yet goods and services have to get to your homes, have to get to businesses. It's important. We've improved parking and ramps in our service areas. We recognize the importance of freight. It's important to Kansas, and we've dedicated ourselves to spend millions on those improvements. Part of those improvements also include bridge raisings. If you've heard about this or seen this, it's also important to freight and our customers and safety. Built in the 50s again, an older system. Of those 350 bridges, many of those bridges, actually 100 are identified under the 15-foot, 9-inch threshold, the minimum that needed to be. So we tackled those, and we've been working to raise 51 bridges so far in these 6 years of the long-term needs study. We either raised bridges or we built new bridges, and we spent $27.5 million to date on those bridges to bring up those. And we're going to continue to push to get those 100 bridges over the next 4 years to above that 15.9 threshold. We think that's very important. That's a standard they need to be at. We understand we have an aging system, but we're dedicated to improve that and make it modern. The most exciting project, I think, is really our open road tolling. If you've been on the main line, driving fast and not having to stop at a toll booth, that's pretty convenient, isn't it? So we've invested a lot in open road tolling. In the end of 17, we finished Eastern Terminal of Bonner Springs. In the end of 2018, we finished up the East Topeka I-70 location. In the end of 2019, we wrapped up the Southern Terminal, which is the Oklahoma border location. This has been our biggest investment so far in this plan. We spent $55 million on those 3 locations. It's safer, it's convenient, our customers like it, it's keeping things moving, barriers are out of the way, and it's really good. If you've got a K-tag, you keep on moving. If you don't have a K-tag, we need to talk to you because we need to get you a K-tag to save you money and so you don't have to slow down and pay the toll. You just keep moving. We're very proud of that project as we continue to modernize. Our newest project, which is really cool, is our 53A exit in the Wichita. If you're going southbound KTA, you can slide right into westbound Kellogg. There's no toll booth. You continue moving. So open road tolling is an opportunity for our K-tag customers. This first cashless exit is for all customers. If you have a K-tag, nothing changes. We'll hit your K-tag and we'll charge you and nothing changes for you. If you're a customer that doesn't have a K-tag, you have an opportunity to go online, or we'll take a picture of your license plate and we'll send you a bill. And that allows all customers to move freely. It's the new modern way of tolling, and we're very excited to be part of that project. That's really a great project. The Kellogg project, we were part of working with the City of Wichita and KDOT to improve that eastern corridor on Kellogg, and that system-to-system connect is very important. We're seeing good comments. People appreciate it. I can keep moving on to Kellogg, and that's good for everybody. And again, that future of tolling is pretty exciting. In 2019, we felt it was important to understand our impact financially to the state. So we embarked in a impact study. And what that showed us is that KTA brings to the state, produces well over 1,300 jobs annually as part of what we do, our projects, our operations. That produces $236 million to the Kansas economy. And we know that can roll over a couple times. That's really important for the Kansas economy. The key numbers here is 12% of goods and services are moving. Our 236-mile system is affecting Kansas. So 12% of the Kansas economy moving is on our system. So we take that pretty seriously. We understand that our system needs to be maintained, needs to be quality, and prepared to help our partners, our communities, our state grow and get things moving. And again, we're doing all this through our system of tolls with no liability on the state, no tax dollars are taking it all. We utilize our own revenue to make that work. We've also embarked on a strategic plan. So we felt like it was important, not only we're talking about improving our infrastructure, but what does our future look like? We dove into a strategic plan that really made us listen to our customers. What do we need to be? What do we need to look like? And it kept coming back to the cashless tolling system. So we are moving towards our driving change of 2025 is that in 2024, we'll be 100% cashless. Toll booths will be removed. You'll be able to move freely. You'll be able to either have a K tag or we're going to bill you. It's what customers want. And you have to understand the customers. When I took over in 2015, 40% of our customers had a K tag. Today, 65% of our customers have K tags and growing. That's what you want. Now you don't have to stop. You don't have to slow down. You can move. And we are moving towards that. We're very excited to offer a better, safer product that's more modern to today's tolling here in Kansas. So over the next few years, you'll start to see that change. We learned a lot about ORT, the open road tolling system. It was very popular and it works. It's safer. This will only add to that, and we're very excited. Part of that is national interoperability. What that is, obviously, is we're partners with Texas and Oklahoma. Your K-tag works in Texas and Oklahoma. Their tags work in Kansas. We need to continue that effort to work across the country. So we are currently working with Colorado to bring them into our system here with Texas and Oklahoma. We are in negotiations working with the southeastern states, also the Easy Pass states in the northeastern part of the country and the West Coast. It's important. Customers need to be able to drive through the country and not have to worry about different tags or how I'm going to be billed, or is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Or I'm going to get a violation, or I'm going to get a big bill in the mail. How does it work? It's all about technology, and that's what we're doing. We're improving our technology inside and out, on the roadway, but in our back office, so that our technology can read other tags, and we're prepared when other states begin to modernize their systems, which they are, we'll be able to work nationally. And I think that's a really good goal that we need to continue to push. The ultimate goal is cashless tolling, as I talked about. We learned about ORT. We took an opportunity to do that. We are learning about customer behavior at 53A on the Kellogg Wichita project. We're going to keep traffic moving. We're going to modernize tolling. Our customers want it. It actually makes us more efficient. It keeps our tolls low. It's the future. And I think it's important that we are better partners. So for new projects, I know there's some projects potentially out there, they have to be with a cashless system. So we need to modernize ourselves, be better partners with communities, for the state, as well as customers that travel to other states, and we're doing that. Now to summarize, again, we're proud of our operations. As you can probably see, I'm pretty excited about what we do. I love coming to work every day. I love what we do. We make a difference. We're trying to help the state. We're modernizing our system. We don't take any tax dollars. I say that a lot because I want to make sure you understand that we're not a burden. We're not a burden on the tax dollars or taxpayers. We're finding a way to work, and we keep some of the lowest tolls in the country. Third lowest tolls in the country run through Kansas, and we're dedicated to keep those tolls low. We're committed to our customers and the safety. We have a strong fiscal backbone, and that was proven. We even took advantage of the low interest rates and refunded some bonds, saved $20 million, which is important because we lost $15 million through COVID. We'll recover that. We'll keep tolls low. We'll make it better for our customers. And it's always fun. And if you don't have a K-tag, when you get you a K-tag, that's how you save money. 25% you save on tolls when you use a K-tag. That's the future. And we're excited to tell that story. Again, I went through that really quick. And I'm now here to stand for any questions you have about the Kansas Turnpike.
Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here today, sir, in that presentation. I'm really thrilled about the 53A exit. That's what I take to get back to Wichita and to my district. I'm just curious, though, about the cashless tolling. I support it. I think it's a great thing. What is the pay rate on those as far as folks actually getting online and paying their bills?
Yeah, that's a great point. So obviously, as I mentioned, K-tag, the electronic effort, is the most inexpensive. So for example, for our cost to collect a K-tag is 30 cents. But if I have a human person or I have to go through a billing process, it grows, right? And so what we're learning about, we'll figure out how to make this more efficient, but by removing the human capital portion of it, and I want to talk about that as well, we can keep tolls low. That's the key here, because infrastructure doesn't get cheaper. People don't get cheaper. Things keep growing in cost. And so to maintain that system, it's important that you should expect us to be the most efficient and with our productivity as we can, and we're aiming to do that. So it will be a little bit more if you go online, slightly more. But if you have a physical bill come in the mail, it'd be another percentage more as well. And if you don't pay that, obviously it goes delinquent. And again, our continued marketing effort is get K tags in people's hands so that you keep the cheapest rate you can. So it's about 25% more, obviously, if you don't have a K tag, and we want to maintain you at that level and not raise tolls as much as we have to.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, walk me through this. If I do not have a K tag and I get off at the 53A exit to go westbound on Kellogg to the 97th district, which everybody should do because it's a great district, and I don't have a K tag, they scan my license plate. If I go online within 10 days, how do I guess, log in and link up with that license plate?
Yeah, really simple. And if you don't have a K tag and you went through the exit and you realize, oh goodness, I don't have a K tag, where's the toll booth to pay my money? What do? Oh, I see a sign, I can go online. I go online and I simply build the trip. Here's my license plate, because I have a picture of your license plate. I have a license plate. I got on here, let's say, I got on Emporia, I got off on East Kellogg on 53A, and that computer system, our website, builds the cost. So here's your fee. And that would be at the cash rate. That'd be 25% higher than the K-tag rate. If you do not go online, then there's an additional charge because I have folks verify who you are, and then we find out where you're at. We then send you a bill, and then you'll just pay that, and you'll have, you'll have 30 days to pay that at that point.
Now, do the cameras take a picture of the driver?
No, we're scanning license plates.
Okay.
License plates, yeah.
If my friend borrows my car and gets off at the 53A exit because he wants to visit the 97th district, because it's a great district, and it's my car, who does that charge go to? Am I responsible as the car owner, since that tag is registered in my name? And is there a resolution to that kind of dispute?
Yeah, the toll goes with the car. I mean, very simple. So the bill will come to you, and you're going to need to get with your buddy to help you pay that, obviously, right? But yeah, it goes with the car. So the car was on our system. We have a record of the car, who the driver is, who the owner is, and the bill will go to you.
Okay. Now, what if, not me, state representative, but me as an average person decides not to pay that bill? What are the penalties, and what are the recourses you guys have?
Yeah, so if you decide not to pay, eventually, it's like anything else. You don't pay your water bill, you don't pay your cable bill. We obviously can't turn your cable off, but what we can do is we send you to collections, or set up the debt set-up program, and eventually, if we had to, we could, basically, we have the registration hold that was passed a few years back, that we could actually hold your registration if you don't pay up to $100 in tolls. We could do that as well. So we have multiple mechanisms to get our dollars back.
But you guys do not have a mechanism to suspend a driver's license for failure?
No, I don't have that power. I do not have that power.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Weigel.
They're not tracking you.
No.
Thank you for your presentation. I do have a couple of serious questions. You mentioned flooding in areas, and I know I used to travel between here and Wichita quite a bit and just in that area, which would be, I guess, south of Emporia. They had a lot of problems there. Has that been addressed?
Yeah, that was actually our most serious location on the mitigation plan. 116, mile marker 116, as well as mile marker, I believe 113 and 115. Flint Hills, lots of wash off drainage off the Flint Hills didn't have large enough drainage culverts. Met the standards in the 50s, didn't meet the standards for 2020, right? So we went in there and we put all new boxes in that area. So the flow is 10 times more now. We can handle. On top of that, we have a warning system. We have a floating system. So when we see the water rising up, because I cannot predict, even if I build it to a 100-year flood, Mother Nature can come to a 200-year flood and put water on the roadway. I can't control Mother Nature. What I can control in those key areas that have a history of flooding, we have a mechanism that when the floats come up to a certain level, it, number one, triggers lights in that area that will flash and warn you there could be water rising. That's the first thing. Number two, it relays to my staff, my maintenance staff, to get out on site, monitor that, and if needed, either shut the road down or be another example of warning customers. And then we have multiple things of text alert, DMS signs, different things that let folks know the potential water is rising, flash flood in the area. So we've spent millions on our effort to try to improve that area as much as other areas as well.
Hey, that was a real concern to me because I traveled when I worked for the Department of Revenue, and I had come across a couple of incidents there. So, the other thing is you talked about freight improvements, and how many of these locations that you don't have this large, so it shows us sky view of a freight area or improvement. Are you going to plan? Are you planning any new facilities like that, or is that?
Yeah, all our service areas are going to be improved. So we've hit Towanda and Matfield Green. We're currently working on Topeka. We also are going to improve this summer in our Belle Plaine location. So we are trying to expand the parking area to make it better for our freight partners, for sure. We're doing quite a bit in that area.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as you're doing all this improvement, how much of the construction capability is organic to your organization, and how much of it is contracted that you bring in other companies to do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have a large maintenance staff, but that's for routine, regular maintenance, potholes, painting, small drainage culvert, resolutions or mowing, those kind of things. Large, big projects, big capital projects, we outsource those. We have an engineering staff, create the plans, send it out to bid, and we go to bid and we get the best price, and then we build it from there. So, and then with those partners. So yeah, I would say all our bid projects are going to go out-house, in-house are the smaller maintenance type projects.
Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. My friend from Topeka brought up a good point about tracking, and now I'm paranoid. How long do you keep those license plate pictures on file?
We'll keep the, that's a great question, and I remember how long we keep it. I don't want to guess here. I should know that. I don't have it in front of me. We keep them first until our billing is taken care of, and then we release it. But that can be quite a way. So we have folks that have violated on the open road tolling since 2017. So we still have those on file. Again, we have your license plate on file. We know your location, but we eventually will release them. Now, exactly, I'd have to get back with you, and I can do that. Exactly on when my IT removes that, I have to get back with you on that. But they'll stay on file for quite some time until you pay. Now, if you're a KTAG customer, it remains on file. But for visitors that are non-KTAG customers, it's till you pay your bill, and then we release it, I think, 30 days after you pay your bill. But I'm going to come back to you and verify that for sure with my IT.
Do you guys have if I may, Mr. Chair, one last quick question here. Do you guys have a mechanism to where you can work with law enforcement if they need to get those records on?
We do not use law enforcement to find out who's paying our tolls.
Well, no, I'm sorry, not on
of
that. If you guys, if law enforcement needs those records for a law enforcement investigation of another kind, not a non-paying toll kind.
Okay, now, that's an excellent question. We require KHP or law enforcement to do a, help me out here.
Subpoena.
Oh, yeah, open records request for that, or subpoena for that information. We don't just hand it over. Now, we do try to work. Let me explain though. I don't want to seem like we're not working with law enforcement, because we work very closely with the Highway Patrol that works for us. And we work closely. When we need to do emergency things like Amber Alerts or some issues like that, we work directly with as fast as we can to get information out. Did this person go through there? So we make emergency decisions, but average, we require, if there's an accident or some issue or something happened, require them to make that release and request it before we determine if we're going to give that information out.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hewitt, if you would send that information to my office, then we'll make sure it gets to all the members in.
I will do that. Thank you, Chairman.
Representative Delperdang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. He drives a red pickup. You might make note of it, spelling on his name. I've got a series of questions, some of which have already been answered. Just out of curiosity, how many other states today recognize or from a reciprocity standpoint with our KTAG? I think it works in Texas and Oklahoma.
works in Texas and Oklahoma. All the Texas agencies, which is, I think there's 5 or 6 agencies in Texas, Oklahoma, OTA, Oklahoma, and those are the only ones. Now, we currently, again, like I said, we hope to bring Colorado in very soon. It's a technology thing, reading technology. But it does not work. Let's say it doesn't work in the Illinois or Indiana and Pennsylvania. That's what we're trying to do. It work for that. But at this point, our agreements are simply with Oklahoma and Texas at this point.
Okay. And you'd brought up mile marker 116, 113. It does look like you've done a lot of improvements out there. I haven't seen the issues lately. KHP has a system out there. I believe it's referred to as the NCIC system. But cameras, is there any plans for additional cameras anywhere?
I can't speak for KHP. I know we're in discussions. We support them in the camera system. And and by the way, we don't see any of that data. That data is all sent to a law enforcement location that they use that data for their dispatch and efforts. But I do not know if they want to expand it. I think KHP does want to expand it, but I do not know what their plans are to this date.
What I was leading up to, Wichita is ranked as one of the top cities in the USA for human trafficking. And any technology that you know of that could be deployed out on the turnpike that might assist in maybe reducing them numbers a little bit. And that's what I was kind of leading to there. But
well, and that's a great point. With the current system we have worked well with them. They have been on a tremendous effort to try to drop those and capture those issues. And I'll try to get I can probably try to get some data on what we do and what the numbers. I'll see if the KHP and local troop can provide that as well to the chairman to give you some of that information, because they have done a nice job of deterring some of that. And you're right, it is I-35 is a corridor that has human trafficking. We're very aware of that. That's why they put the cameras up, to try to alleviate some of that and stop some of the drug traffic and human trafficking that's out there.
And last question, I promise. Just curious, I'd like to know what numbers you might have concerning the amount of revenue brought into the state from out-of-state cars, trucks, et cetera, going down the turnpike.
Another great question. About 50% of our traffic is from out of state. So 50% of our tolls is pretty much covered by out of state. So again, that's a huge effort to keep our tolls low, because so many out-of-staters. Listen, we understand it's an interstate corridor, big travel for freight, as well as just people that need to go one place to another. And so we receive a lot of travel and a lot of customers from out of state.
So what is that 50% number? What's the 100%?
So of 125 million in tolls, it'd be about 75 million in outside Kansas tolls.
Very good. Appreciate you being here.
Any further questions or comments? Representative Weigel.
Thank you. Last time, I stand corrected. If there's a serious accident or some other incident on the ATA, the turnpike troopers work that. If a third party bringing litigation on what's do they contact ATA or do they contact the troopers on the turnpike?
It would be potentially both. It'd be a KHP report. The Highway Patrol would do a report, as well as potentially we may have information they'd want. So I don't know what the information they may need. They would probably need to ask both of us for information they're looking for.
But do you have that information, or do you have to go to the troopers or the people that worked it and say, we need to forward this information?
Okay. The information I would have would be potentially your K-tag user. I would know that you were on the turnpike from this time to this time. I may potentially have cameras at our plazas that are just monitoring for accidents and other things. That might see the accident happen on camera. They might want that footage. That's the kind of information I will have. KHP has different camera information, license plate information, or other data. So there could be potentially information from both of us they may want.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Ballard.
Thank you. I did ask a question. Before you open, say, the Compton exit, because I live in Lawrence, there were individuals working those toll booths. And I have had people ask me this question, and I'm glad I just remembered them. What happens to those individuals? Because they're working it, and now if I go through, sometimes late at night, there might be someone accepting the pay. Otherwise, those people lose their jobs, or do you reassign them?
That is an excellent question. So yes, they are reassigned. And so one of the reasons, another reason for efficiencies of going to cashless tolling to modernize our system is that when we looked at this 4 years ago, initially, how do we modernize our toll system? 70% of my toll collectors would be at retirement age in the next 8 years. I told you 355 employees with us right now. 50 of those are part-timers, part-time toll collectors. We've had a tremendous amount. We used to have well over 450 because we had another 100 toll collectors that have retired. So as they've retired, we become more efficient with technology. So that location will have an APM, which is an automatic pay machine. So there actually is a toll collector sitting in a booth in a computer room that can see multiple locations that do not have toll collectors that can help you. So you hit a button, hey, how's my credit card work? I can pay cash. How's this work? And they can help you. Again, another way to stay efficient is to understand that as toll collectors are aging out, and then there's some that don't age out, right? So you're worried about do we reassign them? Yes, because now customer service becomes more important. We've seen our customer service department, our call center, grow from 10 to 20 to 30 to 50, and with cashless tolling, we'll add another 50 jobs. So those toll collectors can go from one location as a toll collector to potentially a customer service job. So yeah, there's reassignment opportunities if they do not retire, but we know a lot of them are going to retire in the next few years. So that's why this was a good opportunity for us to make the changes. Keeps us efficient, keep the tolls down. But yeah, we're here, we're dedicated. What we do, we have a workforce transition plan. If you don't want to be a customer service rep, what do you want to be? So we're paying for continuing education, training, help job searches. What do you want to do once your job is eliminated? We have opportunities here, but there could be opportunities in maintenance, could be opportunities in IT, could be opportunities in human resources. A lot of different jobs are going to open up, and we're transferring those to those locations, or if they're eligible through CAPERS, and then they can retire. So we have a good opportunity. We feel a good transition plan so that people don't lose their job. And that's our goal here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for that, because I think all of us said those poor people probably lost their jobs. So you just really gave a little more hope there. Thank you so much.
And I'll just say, COVID, Kansas Turnpike, no jobs were cut. Even though we had low tolls, we met our obligations even for our employees, their benefits, their pay. We did that. We were dedicated. That's why we built a good financial backbone so that we could do that.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. Hewitt. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it.
Committee, that does conclude our meeting for the day. I would remind you that Monday we will be having hearings. Tuesday we'll do final action, and then Wednesday we will have the county treasurers in that we didn't have time to do yesterday. They will be here Wednesday. With that, we are adjourned.